Hi everyone. Today we have with us Yash Lalai, who is a sustainability manager at Grasim Industries. And I know Yash from college. He was my batchmate in IIT Bombay. We were in different departments, but we were Tata Fellows, and we used to go on a lot of field trips together. And yeah, that's how I met Yash, and that's how I kind of understood that we over align our thoughts align at some places. Yash today is our first guest for this podcast. And yes, let's start with you. Tell us something about yourself. Tell us about your educational, professional journey. And as you know, Think Now Classroom is an edtech platform which is trying to inculcate research and entrepreneurial mindset in students. And we want to talk to people, professionals, professors from different walks of life, and try to understand how their educational journey was and what they can contribute to our the whole system. Okay, Yash, over to you.
Thanks for having me on this podcast for your new start for your edtech startup.
Yeah.
And this journey sounds really interesting, and I'm very glad that I'm able to contribute in some way. And obviously from our Tata Fellowship days, we were kind of that entrepreneurial
Of
mindset was
course.
kind of taught to us, design thinking and all of that. So I know, where we are coming from and where, the ideas for this startup is coming from. So I'll just tell a little bit in brief about myself. I'm basically born and brought up in Mumbai. After my school days, I did my undergraduate, so engineering. I did my civil engineering from Pune University, and then I joined Priya and others for my master's at IIT Bombay. So I did my master's in environmental science and engineering, and we were part of this very fun fellowship called Tata Center for Technology and Design, where we were basically we had some projects that were funded through Tata Center, and we were assigned the tasks of
Right.
basically improving providing solutions to problems of
Yeah.
resource restrained communities in areas like healthcare, education. I think so one of that domains is what Priya has now picked up, and education, the
Yep.
edtech with this edtech startup. And I was on another spectrum, which was more related to water and waste management at that time. And now I've kind of come into the sustainability space. So initially, after passing out, I started my career as a consultant in the environmental domain, and very recently switched over to the sustainability domain. And currently, I am working with Aditya Birla Group, Grasim Industries, as a sustainability manager. So it's a very interesting profile with sustainability requirements booming among the investment community. There's a lot and
Hmm.
lots of ask from the investor communities. Not just outside India, but now within India as well. Related to what is your company doing, what is your business doing for sustainability, for the preserving biodiversity, being more efficient in resource consumption, and then the carbon
Right.
footprint. Terms like decarbonization are now, very, very popular in this domain, and ESG has become like, one word that is in everyone's
Mm-hmm.
it's on everyone's mind actually right now. So I'm currently working in this field and discovering this field as I'm growing into this something or the other new requirement keeps popping up
Mm.
in this field year after year. And then basically what we do is we have we also kind of learn these new requirements through our partners, through other consulting partners, and then we have to deliver something or the other related to them year after year, something new. So it's been a, interesting journey so far. Yes,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
it from my side.
it's actually very interesting because like I think it's everybody kind of thinks that we care about climate change and we want to do something about environment. We don't
Mhm.
have, but like most of us feel that okay, we don't have enough knowledge and probably our job is not directly kind of contributing to helping climate change, any of
Mhm.
that stuff. But I'm guessing like
Mhm.
you are in that space, so that must feel really good that okay, I'm doing something around the environment and climate change.
Yes. So actually, it doesn't matter now that, whatever field you are, you have
Yeah.
some or the other way to contribute to, the climate change issue. So when I say this, even if you are in a finance field, so now that, sustainable investing is also now a very, cliche term which investors are using. They are basically directing their funds into projects which are less harmful
Hmm.
for the environment, decarbonization projects. So it doesn't matter, even marketing nowadays, or product development nowadays is so much focused on sustainability. Causing the least harm to the environment is now a priority for so many businesses. So I think this space is evolving very rapidly. Even customer demand is shaping, to carve the way for
Hmm.
sustainable businesses.
Okay, yeah, that's like amazing to hear. And like I think that was one of the reason we wanted you to be the first guest because like your work and your profile was very unique to like many of us. So yeah, that was one of the reasons. Okay, so now having known you, like we got to know about your educational and professional journey, I would move on to the next section of this podcast, which is a rapid fire round. So not a rapid
Okay.
fire on Coffee with Karan because that has like very spicy and nice questions, but ours will be okay, little boring questions, but you can make it interesting with your answers. Okay, so your first question coming here is what is the most crucial skill that you feel, children should acquire in school in say, today's era, in today's world?
So I think, it's, not just from a skill point of view. I think the most important job that as a school I would think is, you give the maximum possible exposure to the children. When they are open to all sorts of possibilities, then your life can
Mhm.
change very drastically. Because I remember being from a very humble background, even from a family where no one is very educated, so there was no one to guide us when we were at school. Everyone's mindset is like, just studying and education is everything. If you don't get good marks, then you won't end up anywhere in life. But that's not actually how the world works. And I'm sure everyone today would agree with me that the the kids where who get more exposure to sports, culture, everything during their school life, they actually excel in life going
Yes.
forward. So it's just about giving having an open mindset and having your kid also develop the same. Okay, so that when that decision making phase comes, they can choose for themselves very confidently that this is where I
Correct,
want to go in life, and they are not
correct,
just
correct.
lost or pressurized to do something that they don't want to. So I think that is the most important learning that you can give a kid.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. In fact, like I would like to add that my brother, who was like always the topper in school, like he always had that kind of aura. Today, he has a 4 year old kid, and he says that I want my kid to come 10th in class. I don't want her to come first at all because that will just kind of block all her
Really?
options, and she'll feel okay, I'm great in academics and blah blah blah. So he's like,
Hmm.
"Tum 10th how?"
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the second question of this rapid fire. Top three careers based on today's the market and how today everything is functioning. Top three careers you feel.
So, I think first one would be like a no-brainer. I think it's with this age of artificial intelligence, I think AI, ML it's going to stay here for for a long term, and I don't think any field where AI or ML does not have an application, be it finance, be it your share markets, even
Yep.
in education, everywhere, you will find AI, ML, and it's a never-ending thing now. Going forward, AI, ML is the future, data is the future. So this is going to be an ever-booming field. Uh, when I think of the other ones, I think, from my own field perspective, decarbonization and sustainability, the amount of importance that it's gaining, and all the governments in the world, they are trying to curtail emissions, carbon emissions especially. We want to curb, we want to mitigate the risk of climate change. So uh, I think the most important area, the focus is alternative energy sources,
Right.
renewable energy. So this is a field which is gaining particularly a lot of importance now. So, being in this space again is going to have lots and lots of opportunities going in future. So that is one other. And if I have to say one more, then I think, uh, what is connecting the masses is the social media nowadays. So digital marketing is one very,
Yep.
very, booming field. With the advent of social media, it's taken the advertising and digital marketing to a new height, and there is almost no audience in the world that is left untouched,
Yep.
bar the tribal people who are still living in the islands. But I think
Mm.
other than that, every rural village, or every small kid or elderly person today living in the most rural village in any country would somehow have access
Yep.
to some kind of social media and the internet. So digital marketing is has a great future.
Yep.
So I think that sums up, what these are the, some
Hmm.
of the careers that are,
Hmm.
going to stay in demand for some decades to come.
I'm so sad to know that scientists, researchers, engineers, chemical engineer doesn't even appear in that
Yeah,
list anywhere, and
that
probably
does.
not just you, like
Yeah, I
nobody's
know.
list. Very sad to
Right,
hear.
right. I think
Very
when we
disappointing.
graduated from like schools, it was just like in our parents is, we want to become an engineer, do you want to become a doctor? I think there was nothing else
No,
on the
but
cards that time
you are
for us,
right.
or
We are kind of, doing a research study with parents in India. Uh,
Mhm.
tier one, tier two, tier three cities, like no kind of restrictions on that. And when we ask the same question, top three careers that you feel, it's, I think the 90% of the parents have answered it's AI engineer. And like
Okay.
those parents are from tier three cities. Many have said that they do, like their education level is not probably a lot, but the AI thing is so kind of pervasive that everybody feels that okay, that's the top career. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the third question of your rapid fire round. So coming to your basically professional background, in your career, in your work and profession, what do you think are the two life skills slash 21st century skills slash soft skills that you like use abundantly?
So, whenever somebody asks me about, on job, what is the most important or the crucial skill to have is, I think it's communication. Uh, that's what I've always heard other managers and senior managers saying, and I feel that, communication is one of the most important skills that, you should learn as early on in your career as possible. I think it's a very underrated skill, if you honestly ask me. Just writing an email, or just communicating very clearly what your expectations are to someone on the other side of the table, may it be your client, may it be your customer. you know, it feels very simple, but it's not. And
No, it's not. Yeah.
the sooner, yeah, I think, once who kind of master this skill, it's really the journey becomes it becomes more smoother for them, because you can basically convey certain things so clearly, and that leaves no space for misinterpretation or anything like that. So I think this is a very underrated skill, and one of the most important that I would rather uh, advise anyone to get in their professional careers. And another skill, as a manager, I've worked for like couple of years, couple of 2 3 years now as a manager. So one another important skill that I feel is organization and time management. So, as a project manager, you sometimes you feel so much overwhelmed by the number of tasks that you have at your hand. You have to manage people, you have to manage so many things at once. But what they teach us, very importantly, as a part of this managerial training, is time management and prioritizing your tasks. Because not everything that is in your hands is equally important. It will never be. And if you can properly segregate and prioritize your tasks, then you can navigate very easily. The high priority tasks, you tick them off first. Ones that are low priority, you park them for later. So you have to have that kind of that organizational mindset to prioritize the important tasks,
That's
and
right.
as they said, divide and conquer. So that is the way you can kind of win over the unending amount of work that
Mm,
that gets piled up sometimes at workplace. So these there are many more, that depends on the kind of profile that you are in. Another one I would say is people management. That is another very, very difficult skill.
yep, yep.
Uh, so that's something that I don't have a lot of experience with right now, since I've just been working as a manager for not very long.
Right.
But I think the time management, it applies to each and every one, and
Of
also
course.
the communication skills. Yeah.
No, I know I have recently like kind of felt that that makes a lot of difference. So like when I was working, uh, I was basically reporting to one person and I was, say, at most talking to two more people regarding my work. But when we started Think Now, and like right now we have five interns. So I realized that the way I communicate with them will make all the difference in what their results is. If I don't communicate properly exactly
Correct.
what do I want from you and what are the steps of the work they are going to mess up, and you'll feel,
Right.
okay, interns don't do anything. So it's how
Right.
you
Right.
shape your communication.
Correct, correct. It's even it's true within your own team and your peers as well. The way you communicate your expectations is very
Exactly.
important. Right,
Yep,
right.
yep. Okay, so coming to the last question of the rapid fire. Okay, this is for your basically educational journey. Anything you would like to share, like any uh, interesting experience, or do you feel that if you had kind of studied this particular thing in school, um, you would have been at a much better place, or like it would have made things much better? Any skill that you feel that you kind of missed?
So, now when I think of that, I think there are a lot of skills that in our school times, I think we were not educated very fairly about managing our own finances.
Mm,
uh, Although they taught us mathematics, commerce, but I think still a fairly, big amount of people, fairly huge chunk of people who are in domains like, science, or who are doctors, still they still lack this, very basic knowledge about managing your
mhm.
finances, investing, how you can make leverage the money that you have earned to earn more money. I think that
Right.
was one very fundamental skill that I also had to learn on my own after I passed out college. So till the time I was in college, I was also not much aware about this. And I think on the other
Right.
side, there are, many other soft skills and, skills that will basically, help you for a lifetime. Like, there are skills like, it can be as simple as, I think we all had, some sort of physical education, class in our schools, but
Right.
we were never taught skill like yoga or meditation, and how helpful they are in calming your mind,
Mm.
keeping your cool under stressful situations. Because, once you step out there, there are going to be stresses in some way or the other. There are going to be challenging timelines. There are going to be difficult people that you need to deal with every day. But when you kind of can hold your nerves, you can remain calm in situations which
Right.
are, very challenging. That is, what will basically, decide how far you can go, and how easily you can navigate
Hmm.
without, that stress being, too much, having too much impact on your health and
Right.
your well-being. So, and it's, all about, your mental health, awareness regarding mental health. I think that is some area that was lacking in the school
Mm.
education, that I feel that, if students or kids, teenagers, if they are aware, then they can, control, their emotions, or their,
Right. Right.
themselves in situations like these better.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think you'll be happy to know that nowadays, like many, the current generation, they do like many schools now provide training in terms of yoga, meditation, focusing on mental health awareness. So yeah, many schools are now
Right.
doing things, and things have like
Correct.
changed quite a lot
Hmm.
since we kind of graduated from school. Okay,
Hmm.
so this ends the rapid fire round. We have a new section uh, here, coming here. So in our sessions, which we do with the students during our courses, we basically take them through, a lot of activities, a lot of team activities, which are kind of, focused on critical thinking, research mindset,
Okay.
entrepreneurial mindset. So we have picked some, few activities which we thought, like we'll do with the adults as well. So this is like, uh, think now's version of क्या आप पांचवी पास है, and
Okay.
we'll go to an interesting activity which I feel could be like the most interesting for you. So I've picked one for you. Okay, so this is called a what if scenario. The idea here
Okay.
is that a lot of times we kind of, when we think about problem solutions, ideas, we are restricted by the things that are obvious and very seemingly present around ourselves. But through this activity we want the kids to kind of break free from the reality that's staring at them and just think about the futuristic stuff. So I'll give you one scenario, and
Hmm.
you have to kind of, tell us about what could be the societal, environmental, economic, scientific implications of that scenario if that happens. I mean, that is just a futuristic
Okay.
scenario, and futuristic slash could be unrealistic also. So, yeah,
Okay.
but the idea is just to break free from reality. That's the whole point. Okay,
Hmm.
so coming your way, our scenario for today's podcast. Okay, so what if average lifespan was 150 years? This is
Okay.
the what if scenario. Very simple, very basic, and just
Okay.
you use very basic
That's
examples. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting and thought-provoking scenario. Like, what if we lived 150 years? I can't even imagine that, like,
Feel so bored
I
right now.
someone would want to live 150 years in today's world. It's already, feeling so saturated now living
Yeah,
here in Mumbai.
exactly.
I can't even get a view of the skies. But yeah, let's just think one by one what would be the implication. I think, already I am not a very big fan of population explosion, and I've read, quite a lot of novels about, population going so haywire that there are some you know psycho scientists born who think about wiping off population and all of that. So I think the first very obvious implication of this would be that the population of the world would be double of what it was right now.
Yep.
So if we are like say 8 billion people today, then we would be 16, and I don't know where we would fit
Mm,
in in on the
mm.
earth. But just to think about
Right.
that, we would be obviously very advanced then, because everything would our all of our efforts would get multiplied. All of the research and XYZ, whatever we would have achieved would be more would have been multiplied. But then again, at the same time, I think the societal impact would be that that parity that exists between the rich and the poor, that would have gone even more wider. Because I think obviously there's going to be in such a scenario where the population is so high, but I don't think that the scenario considers that the earth was also twice as big. Because the space that
Definitely
we
not.
live in is obviously limited. And I
Yeah.
don't I don't I find it really hard to imagine what that section below the poverty line would feel, even more resource constrained, and really very clutching for every last bit
Yep.
of what's remaining.
Some
So
people will have to become
so
amphibians.
yeah, yeah. Really. So, and I think, in that scenario, what definitely comes to mind is, humanity, should would have in that scenario expedited their search for the another Earth, slash Mars, or
Interesting.
whatever. And yeah, yeah, because I think it would really be impossible to contain such a big population on this, seemingly small
Yep.
Earth. So yeah, it's
That could be an interesting
Mhm.
scientific implication that you just mentioned, that if you are like
Right, right.
you are in that
Yeah.
scenario, like okay, there is
And
no
all these
exit.
things that we talk about today, the decarbonization and all of that, that would have already be happened like 100 years back. Because that's that at that point only, like like a century back only, we would have exhausted Earth's resources. There would be global warming. There would be so much of climate change and all of that, that humanity would have been forced to imply so many strict measures to curb the climate
Right.
change, rising temperature, all of that. And that some of these have very big impact on society also as a whole. Because some of us, we can afford to live with all of that, but there's in that pyramid, the people at the bottom, they suffer the most as a consequence of all of these actions. So that parity, I see that it would have widened up more, even more so.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was just like this has just got me thinking that, now we like in a family there's like four generations based on
hmm
today's lifespan.
hmm
I have my grandmom, my father,
hmm
me, and probably my brother has a kid. So like four generations. So like this scenario just got me thinking in that perspective. Like what if like the average span was 150 years? So how many generations
six,
in
seven,
each?
eight generations.
Yeah. And like how
And
will
and I
that?
think in that there would be probably a rule that you can't have more than one kid. Obviously, I think that there's some
Yeah,
some sort of rule would have had to would be implemented. Because I can't imagine 8 generations of a family. Where you're
yep,
going to
yep,
go
yep.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be like too many people to handle in terms, too many people to invite for weddings, too many people for everything. So of course, like for every species, there must be like an optimum number,
Hmm.
that a family or a group can count.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
up. And I think if we kind of delve deeper into that for another 1 or 2 hour, we'll just get more interesting, implications. But yeah, I think these are good to go. Okay, so I
Yeah.
think we have covered everything which we thought we'd do in the podcast. And yeah, thank you so much, Yash, for being our first guest, for taking one for the team. And yeah,
Thank you so much, Priya. It's been a
yeah,
pleasure and it's been a very interesting conversation.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, Yash, yeah, bye. See
So
you
bye then.
soon.
Yes.